I won my first competition as a professional kettlebell sport athlete, and here's how I did it. I placed first among 8 other participants who were doing the same discipline like I was. 5-minute snatch set with only one arm switch allowed. I chose the 32 kg kettlebell and I was able to bang out 85 reps. Unfortunately, 1 rep was a no count, so the final result was 84 reps. I'm pretty happy with that result. And there was another guy who picked up a 32 kg as well, and he was able to bust out 30 reps. And it goes to show how much of a beast the 32 kg really is. Now, I've written a lot of notes. I want to explain to you the kettlebell sport world, the snatch discipline, my preparation, the road to 85 reps, my method, the breathing, everything. It's going to be a detailed video. And of course, you'll find the timestamps in the description so you can jump to the section that interests you the most. Now, one thing that I realize again is that the kettlebell is the most powerful general physical preparedness tool on planet Earth. It is a beast. It gives you so much muscle, strength, endurance, focus, endurance in and all by itself, strength in and all by itself. It's just a beast of a tool, especially when you get used to it and then you pick up the heavier weights or you pick up doubles. And for my case, I pick up the snatch because I felt this is the discipline that I'm the strongest at, but I'm getting ahead of myself. What I want to say is the kettlebell is a beast. And if you're over 40 and you want to become strong, fit, and lean without going to the gym twice as fast, and you want to learn more about the kettlebell, this is the place to be. I got a little ebook for you that you can download right now in the first link in the description so you can get a head start. Grüezi miteinander, Gregory von Lebe Stark here. This is going to be a detailed video, so the first thing that I want to start with is the details of the IKFF Championship and the official title that I got since I partook in it. So the IKFF Championship was held on the 2nd of November 2024, and I was able to send in my performance via video submission. And I was aiming for the candidate of Master of Sport in the professional division. And like I said, I was able to bust out 85 reps minus 1, and it's the first rep that I messed up. How stupid. I'm shaking my head, but yeah, I was able to do lots of reps with the 32 kg, and I had 5 minutes to do it. And the results are in. I placed number 1, and I'm really happy with it. And by the way, Angie also placed 1 in her division, and she was the lightest athlete and picked up the heaviest kettlebell. And I think I was also the lightest athlete, and I picked up the heaviest kettlebell. Now, for me, it was clear if I join, I want to be ranked as a professional athlete. And I'm going to explain a little bit more about the different sections of the IKO and the disciplines, so on and so forth. Now, I'm really happy with my result that I got candidate Master of Sport, and I aimed for the 65 reps, but I was able to bust out 85, which means I'm prepped for more. Now, one thing that I want to explain first is the discipline. Now, the snatch is a powerful exercise that especially requires lots of endurance and a good technique. And the duration of 5 minutes, I felt this was the perfect way to get started in my kettlebell sport journey. You're also able to jump into 10-minute sets. I'm going to explain this in a second. But the 5-minute set, I felt very comfortable with. And now I want to explain to you what it's all about. Now, kettlebell sport, you can actually perform in 3 types of lifts. The snatch that I did, the long cycle, which is a clean and jerk with double kettlebells, or the jerk, which is also with double kettlebells. I must admit that I felt a little bit scared of double 32s, and I'm not sure if I have the frame and the strength to be able to reach Master of Sport with long cycle and jerk. But I think I can pull it off with the snatch because of my build. I'm rather built lean. I'm rather built towards the strength endurance realm, but that doesn't mean that I will never try the long cycle or the jerk. What it means right now is I'm focusing on one discipline. So these 3 disciplines, you can decide, all right, I want to either jump into the snatch, long cycle, or the jerk. Once you've decided, and by the way, I love the jerk actually, but like I said, the snatch is more of the discipline that I can think I can shine in the most, at least right now. So once you've made up your mind, you say, all right, I want to jump into either one of these 3 categories. You can also do all 3. That's a triathlon or do a biathlon, a jerk and a snatch. Then you, of course, have a weight class, and your weight class determines how many reps you have to do in order to achieve a particular rank. And then, of course, you have the other factor, and that is the weight of the kettlebell. You can do everything that I just explained to you with a very light kettlebell or with the heavy kettlebell. And if you use the heaviest kettlebell, which is the 32 kg, at least for men, this means you're then competing in the professional division. And for women, it's 24. So you have the professional division, you have the semi-professional division, you have the amateur division, and then I think it goes even further back. And that's the rankings from the IKO, the International Kettlebell Organization, which is hosted by Denis Vasilev. And he was one of the reasons why I wanted to do this competition. I'm going to talk a little bit more about the reasons right now. But these are the ideas, all right? These 3 exercises, you have your weight class, and now you determine which weight you want to pick up. And the final factor is your duration of your set, all right? Do I want to jump into the 5-minute set, or do I want to jump into the 10-minute set? Initially, I was really scared of these times. I was like, wow, 5 minutes of work or 10 minutes, which is even more scary. But what I found is when you find your pace and when you have enough strength endurance and when you get used to the weight, it's actually very manageable. Now, the reason why I wanted to compete is I felt a couple of weeks ago, I felt like, wow, you know what? I want to compete. The first thing that I always focused on was building the business. And this is what happened. I was able to successfully build a business, and I've laid a strong foundation. And then I realized, wow, I actually have some headspace to drill my expertise one layer deeper in the foundation that I'm building. So that's why I felt the urge, and then I decided, you know what, I'm going to compete. And the reason why I chose the IKFF, of course, it's Steve Carter. It comes full circle for me because 5 years ago, I got certified by Steve Carter according to his rigorous IKFF standards. And Denis Vasilev, he was the first guy that I had on my podcast to have a conversation with. For me, if these 2 guys are running that competition, and I can do my first set on their watch, this is powerful. This was a confirmation for me to get started. So let's talk a little bit about the preparation. So I only had 3 weeks of preparation, but of course we cannot forget the 5 years that I put in to learn the craft of kettlebell training. And yes, it is a craft. It is also a science, especially when you look at the competitive nature of it. But from a standpoint of prepping for the event in and all by itself, 3 weeks ago, I had this thought. I said, you know what? I want to compete. And so just a couple of weeks later, I recognized, wow, there's actually a competition happening, and I can send in my video submission, which takes away the requirement to fly there. All right, so I have no more excuses. All right, let's jump in. So it's 3 weeks of preparation. But because I was a kettlebell specialist, and because I had already built my foundation on Steve Carter's IKFF and my history, I was able to perform pretty well. Now, what was the preparation training that I did? One that I've done since 5 years ago are the workouts of the week, our own type of training. So we have the Big 10, it's what we call them right now, the 10 exercises that we do throughout the whole year. And we mix and match them in different workouts, and then we call them workout of the week. Sometimes it's double bells, sometimes it's single bells, and it includes the most bang for your buck exercises. And that's part of my training. The second part of my training that I started a couple of weeks ago, I think it was maybe 1.5 months ago, when I had the first conversation with Levi from Harder to Kill Training, was the 2 bells overhead mantra, if we can call it like this. So 2 bells overhead essentially means put 2 heavy kettlebells overhead as much as possible, build a lot of volume, and then from this volume, make sure that maybe, in my case, make sure that 80% of that volume goes overhead. And this changes your physique like crazy. It turns your body into a weightlifter's physique. That's what I've recognized. I've built a little bit more muscle. I've gotten a lot stronger, but also my endurance went up because kettlebell requires that, the kettlebell training or kettlebell lifting requires that special hybrid endurance. And so with the workout of the week, with my history, and with that 2 bells overhead mantra, where I was constantly using double 28s and double 32s and double 24s, I was able to really make a huge leap in my training schedule, my strength, and all the physical qualities that come with it. And I have to tell you that when I got started with Levi's type of training, the double 28s gave me a hard time, and the double 32s even more, and it was close to maybe 3 or 4 reps, and then I had to put the kettlebell down, and now it's close to 10 reps. So I was already able to get stronger, use heavier weights, and I guarantee you that I was able to feel these effects in my training, and that's the reason why I was prepped so well for that snatch test. Thanks to Levi's training, I was not only able to pick heavier bells, do more reps, but I was also able to finish faster. That's crazy. Finishing faster means my fitness goes to the roof. Using heavier bells means I'm actually stronger and doing more reps. Of course, everything comes together full circle. So I get that huge package, which I believe was a powerful foundation for this Saturday's performance. So the way that I snatched was I was always using 32 kg. And I was snatching 10 reps per side, 12 reps per side, 15 reps per side. I even dared to go up to 20 reps per side, and it felt very comfortable. I also did the scare tactics, that's how I call them. I was snatching at 34 kg. So I slapped on that 2 kg increment, that weight chip from Pro Kettlebell. I slapped it on the 32 kg kettlebell, and off I went. And funny thing is, the Pro Kettlebell is even a little bit heavier. As we were weighing in, the kettlebell was 32.2 kilograms. So I actually used a heavier kettlebell than it was required. So I didn't even think about that. I wanted to compete because I always focused on different things. And then 3 weeks ago, this thought formed in my mind. The championship opened up, and here we go. And as they say, when the student is ready, the master will appear. And the final decision was 1 week out. I remember I wrote a text to Steve. I said, Steve, how long do I have time to sign up for the IKFF Championship? I'm thinking about it. And he said, you have 2 days. It's the last day, so make up your mind. And that was good urgency because it forced me to make a decision. And here I stand now, being finally a professional athlete and a candidate of Master of Sport. Now, the way that I train, or the way that I prepped for this competition, was like prepping for no competition. Now, why am I saying this? Because I look at the elite lifters, the elite GS lifters. You know what they do? They do not prepare for a particular event. Maybe, yes, they pick up a heavier bell, or they do a little bit more of their specific training, but these guys are always ready. These guys are like warriors in the garden, prepared to enter battle when the occasion arises. And so a competition is a battle, and so they jump up and they're ready to perform. And this is the type of training, or the type of mentality and preparedness that I want to have too. It's not that I want to prepare for an event, say, for example, now for a Master of Sport or Master of Sport International class with the 32 kg, which means I have to do 139 reps in 10 minutes. I'm not going to prepare for this, and then once I've achieved that level, I'm going to let it drop, and then I'm going to do it completely something different. And then it's like, oh, I can't wait to look forward to training after the training of preparing for a GS event. No, I always want to train like this. I always want to put my body to the test. I always want to force my body to be able to perform a little bit better. Now, does that mean that I'm going to do 140 reps every week with a 32 kg? No, of course not. But it means that I always want to stay close to my body's capabilities and not just let it drop like a bag of rice just because I was able to get this achievement. Now, the same as now. I know I'm able to do 85 reps in 5 minutes with a 32 kg kettlebell. Now, that doesn't mean that I'm stopping the snatch. On the contrary, every Saturday is now Snatcher Day. I told this Angie, I told her, you know what? Every Saturday it's going to be the 32 and the 34. It's going to be a couple of minutes, a couple of reps, then it's going to be 5 minutes, then it's going to be 6 minutes, then I'm going to pick it up. Then I thought about doing a biathlon, so then I'm going to do a couple of jerk sets, then I'm going to do a couple of snatch sets, and always with the heavy weight because I want to stay ready. Now, another thing that I was inspired by is not just the elite lifters, but I also oriented myself according to other lifters. There's one video that I watched at least 5 times in preparing for this event. And it's this video right now where Denisov is doing over 200 reps in 10 minutes. But look at the guy next to him. I was focusing on the guy next to him who did like 100 reps, then he dropped the kettlebell and he was hiding in shame behind the curtain afterwards. It was so funny. But the reason why I was looking at the other guy is because I know, all right, listen, Denisov is a legend in and all by itself and it's a crazy pace. I think he drops like at 22 or 23 RPM for the whole 10-minute snatch set. He achieved like 220 reps or something. And the other guy is way slower. So I knew I gotta watch the guys who are slower than the elite ones because I'm not an elite lifter. I want to reach that level maybe, but I want to make sure that I have a pace where I see other dudes that are maybe similar to my type of fitness or to my type of level in kettlebell sport and then go after it. While it's not a shame to be inspired by somebody who is way better than you, I think it's not the proper way to think that I have to perform like an elite guy who's been doing this for ages and now here I come just because I have the desire to compete. Now I think I gotta do it like this guy. And now let's talk about the road to 85 reps. So the method that I used was this hybrid method. And I can tell you right now, if I use a lighter kettlebell, or depending on the weights of the kettlebell and the size of the kettlebell, my style changes a little bit. My style is fluid. And I recognize that I have to stop comparing myself with other guys. The Rudnev snatch, I love it, but I don't jive with it that much. The Denisov snatch, that diagonal type of snatch is cool, but I don't do it. And Dennis also have this very central classic type of snatch with the typical pendulum. I don't do that either. When I was focusing on the 85 reps, I just let my body flow. Of course, I have certain pillars that you see in probably every GS lifter, and that is a solid hand insertion, the foot kick technique, a lot of stomping of the feet, the horizontal aspect where I, the vertical as well as the horizontal aspect where I don't just pull the kettlebell up, but I drop back so I can close the distance when the kettlebell drops down to reconnect with the body as fast as possible, using a lot of leverage from my upper body. You see this, yes, but other than this, my method is different. I'm using this hybrid method where I rather do some kind of a deadlift or even though a little bit of a heart style move, and then I mix it with the GS approach, at least with the 32 kg. With the 28 and the 24, I can completely move into a pendulum style of training or a pendulum style of snatch. But with the 32 kg, that thing wants to rip me apart so badly as soon as it drops down to the floor that I have to catch it with my quads. Now, some of you might say, or somebody might say, well, that means you have to adjust your technique. Actually, no. I think I can pull off master of sport with this hybrid technique. So if it works for me, I don't see any reasons to change it. Now, somebody even mentioned about the music. So when I was prepping for the 85 reps for my set, I set up a music list. It's 2 beats. And these 2 beats work well in this 5-minute snatch set. The first beat is a little bit slower. It has this pumping vibe. And then after 2 minutes and 30 seconds, or maybe close to the 3-minute mark, I was using another beat that was really putting it down, where even the singer says more, more, more. So that gave me like that motivation. All right, more, more, more. So I focused on music too. It's not by accident. And then the breathing. What happened to my breathing? I think the breathing was fascinating because I was using a strong exhale, not even a strong exhale. I went away from this typical power breathing style of no, that doesn't work if you want to move lots of weights for a long period of time. Instead, I was using a typical exhale, but I was inhaling through the nose in the drop and on the way up. And the reason why I was using nasal breathing is because science seems to indicate that it produces nitric oxide, nasal breathing, and nitric oxide dilates the blood vessels. Also, if you inhale through the nose, the quality of the air is just better because you have a huge cavity here that filters the air. So I was using that system, that type of breathing, to help me with my snatch set. And one thing that also happened was 1 week before I got started with my prep, so 1 week out, or maybe 1.5 weeks out, I was doing 50 reps and I was completely gassed. I was dead. I recognized that I was going too fast. And if you go too fast, you gas yourself out immediately. And so here I was making the mistake that I thought, you know what? I just want to hit these 65 reps, or it was 57 back then, because I wanted to achieve rank 1. And rank 1 is below candidate master of sport. Then I talked to Steve, and Steve gave me great insights. He said, Gregory, don't gas yourself. Take your time. Go at a slower pace. Use the non-dominant hand first. In my case, it's the left side, and then use your stronger side so you can sprint at the end if you have to. So I was going at a very easy 13 RPM, and then I picked it up. I went to 25 RPM in the final minute, and this was intentional. This was a sprint method that I used so I can bang out a lot of reps with my strong side while being able to build up the volume. And Valery Fedorenko even said, don't focus on the reps, you focus on the time first. So you want to be able to complete the full 5-minute or 10-minute set, and then you maybe focus on the numbers as well as the pace. And with these tips, I hit the 65 rep mark 1 week out, or on Monday. So last Monday, I was able to hit the 65 reps, and I was pretty happy. I was like, all right, I'm able to do it. Let's go. So that was the last workout. And then I knew, all right, just like it was in a competitive period, now training stops. No more adjusting of the reps, no more adjusting of the weight, no more training, no more strength focus, no more running, no nothing. But what I did is I rested for 4 days, and I was doing a lot of hand care to make sure that my palms are ready. I went to get a massage. I went to the sauna. I slept a lot, got lots of sleep, no junk food. And so I mentally prepared like crazy. And one thing that really motivated me was Devon Lorette, the arm wrestler guy. And he's really that guy who plays with his voice, plays with his eyes as he's fighting his battles and his opponents. And I was so motivated by this guy, and that's the reason why I was yelling when you watch my snatch set. I was yelling too easy. I was even thinking about yelling, I'm too strong. This weight is too easy. I'm way too strong for the 32 kg, and maybe I'm gonna do this in my next 10-minute snatch set. And I meant it. Yes, I was a little bit of a showman, but of course I really meant it. It felt so well when I was doing that snatch set because I think I was doing everything right. I was resting properly, I was training properly, and then I was prepared to enter battle. And that was another one of those reasons where I said, you know what? One of the reasons why I want to do this is I want to make sure that, yes, you may not like me, but you're forced to admit that this guy is a professional athlete who can actually put in the work. This guy not only looks like he can do some work, he actually does some work. It's on record. And even though I don't like his nose, even though I think the guy's the TMZ of kettlebells, still, you gotta admit now, the guy's a professional athlete. So whether you like it or not. And so I'm not always on that negative side, but sometimes these anti-goals, they force me to stay focused. And of course, now I'm gonna use this in my expertise to cement my status and earn my keep and say, you know what? I'm not just a professional kettlebell trainer, I'm also a professional kettlebell athlete. But on game day, I was fairly focused. So here's what I did. I had my snatch set up so that it was streamed on YouTube live. That gave me the feeling of it being an actual competition. We even had a couple of folks here who were watching our competition. And we had a lot of people who joined in on a live stream. So I knew I had a deadline. I was forced to compete. I was forced to perform. And that gave me this competition atmosphere, which I believe helped me to really sharpen the blade and sharpen my skill and go above and beyond. And it even added because I was nervous. And a little nervousness is cool because it sharpens your sights and it sharpens your focus. And here's what I did with the protocol. So I performed at 11 a.m. in the morning. And 10:30 a.m. my warm-up began. And I was using the ramp protocol. So R stands for raised body temperature. And as you can see, I was just shuffling, I was doing slow jogging, I was doing leg kicks, I was doing high knees, I was doing butt kicks, I was jumping around in the gym, I was running around, I was running in circles, I was doing the karaoke step. So the reason why I did this is because I wanted to raise my body's temperature. Now, second what followed was an activate and mobilize protocol, where I was mobilizing the full body, the ligaments, the tendons, as well as the mental preparedness. And it took me like 5 to 10 minutes of the raising the body's temperature. Then it was like 5 to 10 minutes of the mobilizing. And then finally, in the RAM protocol, they call it potentiate. I call it practice. At the end of my warm-up, I was making sure my technique is set. I picked up a 24 kg, did a couple of snatches. I picked up a 28 kg, did a couple of snatches. And I didn't pick up the 32. I picked up a 34 because I wanted to use the scare tactics. I did not want to pick up my competitive weight, but instead I wanted to pick up a heavier weight, so then when I step on the mat and get ready to perform, I'm actually using a lighter kettlebell, which gives my body the feeling that, wow, this is not so hard after all, isn't it? So that scare tactic, I think that played out very well, and I aimed for 70 reps. I thought, you know what, if I was able to do 65 reps, then of course I'll be able to do 70. And look what happened. I was able to do 15 reps more, and I think I'm 21 reps short of Master of Sport. And you have to think that if I aim for Master of Sport, I have another 5 minutes left to do these 21 reps. Now, of course, if I was doing a 10-minute set, I wouldn't go as fast as I went in the last minute of the 5-minute snatch set, of course. But still, I am very close to Master of Sport, and I think I can pull it off. So I started with a 13 to 14 RPM, and I focused on my breathing. I focused on just being highly focused and hitting that rep range. So once the kettlebell came up, I counted 1, 2, 3, back down, back up, 1, 2, 3, and I focused on my breathing exclusively. And so many people reached out to me. They were like, wow, and in the final minute, you went balls to the walls. You went crazy. But actually, it's not that in the final minute, I was like, all right, wow, I feel so good. Now I'm going to go crazy. No, it was a premeditated move, just like in a marathon run. So you maybe run the 40 kilometers at a very steady pace. And then for the final 2 kilometers, you know, now if I step it up, I'm going to burn myself a little bit, but it's the final stretch. The sprint in the final minute went up to 25 reps. So that hit 85 total. Like I said, -1 because I messed up my first rep. Can you imagine? So my nervousness got a little bit the better of me. That's why I messed up in the first rep. And another thing that Steve told me that is that I'm not supposed to shuffle once I'm switching sides. You can see once I'm switching sides, my legs are shuffling a little bit so I can, get the blood flowing. And he said if you have a very strong or very tight judge who takes it very seriously, this might be an issue. So you have to stay grounded until you're done with the set. So I was hyper focused, and let me tell you, I say this with a lot of respect. I say this with humility, but the 32 kg really felt easy and light. And of course, this is also to do with the Pro Kettlebell. I cannot tell you how powerful the Pro Kettlebell really is. The flow feeling, it feels so much. The handle is awesome. Everything about the Pro Kettlebell. The arm pockets is way better for the forearm. So if you do a lot of reps, you don't get that ugly bump right here if you're an athlete. So the Pro Kettlebell is a beast. And by the way, you know it. If you want to get it, Pro Kettlebell, use the code Lebe to get 10% off. So I stand behind Nikolai's product. I think it's one of the best kettlebells ever. I exclusively train with them, and I felt it in my snatch set as well. And my mental rehearsal also worked fine. I knew what I'm going to wear. I ordered the shorts that I had on. I knew the tank, it's going to be this tank, but just a short version that we have as merchandise as well, which you also find in the link in the description. So I knew what I'm going to wear. I knew how I'm going to look. And so that gives also your mind an additional boost, because if you visualize yourself, if I sit here right now with my eyes closed and I'm thinking about the snatch that I'm going to perform, on a very minute and small, minuscule level, muscles start twitching. That's the power of mental focus. My next goal is going to be the Master of Sport, and it's going to be the Master of Sport International class. Yes, the MSIC. So I want the MS, and then I want to get the MSIC. And for Master of Sport, it's going to be 107 reps in my weight class, which, by the way, my weight is 71.3 kilograms. So that puts me in the 74 kilogram weight class. And the Master of Sport International class is 139 reps. And I think I can pull this off. I want both titles very bad. And I want to put Switzerland on the map, actually, right? We don't have, as far as I know, we don't have some serious lifters from Switzerland. So somebody got to step it up. So I'm going to be the one to do it. So if you want to watch my full snatch set, you'll find the link in the description, as well as the live stream, where, by the way, Angie performed her set as well. She also has a YouTube channel. You can find everything in the description if you want to watch it by yourself. I'm going to share the warm-up protocol as well as a standalone warm-up because I think it's so powerful, especially for athletes. I intentionally used the longer one because I knew I had to bring my body to the test, put it to the test, and achieve a limit that I didn't do before. So that's the reason why I chose a little bit of a different warm-up with lots of the elements that we do with our clients on a daily basis. So here's the next thing that you have to do. Clean and press that like and subscribe button. Share with a friend who's also interested in kettlebells. And if you made it this far, download my free ebook in the first link in the description called the Kettlebell Code. If you're over 40, 50, or 60, you don't have a lot of time, but you still want to take care of your fitness, this is where the kettlebell comes in. And I'm going to show you how to get started with my ebook. It's 100% free. You'll find it in the first link in the description. So grab it right now.